Super Bowl.
No American will ever be able to seriously say again, my vote doesn't count.
This is the CBS Evening News, straight to the biggest election story of our lifetimes. Dan Rather reporting from CBS News election headquarters in New York. Good evening. The presidency of the United States is just beyond the reach of two men tonight after an election unique in American history. It's among the closest ever. 24 hours after the polls closed, we still don't know who won, Al Gore or George Bush, and we will not know until tomorrow at the earliest. We're devoting extra time tonight to this critically important story, and here's the latest. Florida today began an official vote recount. Bush leads Gore in the state by just a minuscule percentage, now down to about 1,400 votes total. Whoever wins Florida will pick up 25 electoral votes, topping the 270 needed to be elected president. But one more wrinkle in this story. Gore leads Bush in the nationwide popular vote by more than 100,000 ballots. So Gore could wind up winning the popular vote and losing the election in the Electoral College. None of this is assured. The candidates made their first public comments today on this incredible turn of events.
This morning brings news from Florida that the final vote count there shows that Secretary Cheney and I have carried the state of Florida. And if that result is confirmed in an automatic recount, as we expect it will be, that we have won the election.
What is at issue here is the fundamental fairness of the process as a whole. Because of what is at stake, this matter must be resolved expeditiously, but deliberately and without any rush to judgment.
Now, we can't overemphasize the importance of this Florida recount. We have a team of correspondents covering every angle of the story in Florida and the reactions and strategies at the candidates' headquarters in Austin and Nashville. We begin with Byron Pitts in the Florida Capitol. Byron?
Well, Dan, both parties now tell us they believe this recount will take more than one day. Said one election worker, the stakes are too high. One at a time in all 67 counties across Florida.
George Bush, 2,421. Yes. Al Gore, 5,349.
Election workers began a process no one had ever seen in the history of the United States. The recount of nearly 6 million votes in one state. Votes that will decide who will become the next American president. Fewer than 2,000 votes on Election Day had separated George Bush and Al Gore. Florida law required an automatic recount.
I, along with Attorney General Butterworth, are firmly committed to protecting the integrity of Florida's election process and will seek swift enforcement of Florida's election laws.
Fearful of causing any false impressions, Florida's Republican governor, who is also George W. Bush's brother, said he would not play any official role in the recount. Democrats have already made allegations of criminal wrongdoing.
We have been flooded with calls across the state of voter irregularities, voter intimidation, all sorts of allegations that are quite troubling to us.
Adding to the confusion, thousands of overseas absentee ballots that may not be counted for another 9 days. The road to the White House cut straight through Florida. Tonight, a mountain of ballots and suspicions stand in the way. In a clear sign, Democrats nor Republicans trust the other. Both parties are sending in former secretaries of state to oversee the recount. Warren Christopher for the Democrats, James Baker for the Republicans. We are all witnessing history and hardball. Dan?
Byron Pitts. Beyond the closeness of the vote in Florida, there are also questions about irregularities at polling places and alleged problems with the ballots themselves. CBS's Bobby Harley in Miami has that part of the story. Bobby?
Well, Dan, while the vote recount goes on, reports of voting improprieties are now coming in from across the state, with some of those voting offices resembling crime scenes.
Here in Volusia County, police tape surrounds the elections office. That's because in this county alone, the Socialist Workers candidate, James Harris, got 9,888 votes. He only received 19,507 nationwide. Elections officials say it may be a computer glitch, but it's only one potential problem on a list that's adding up as fast as the votes are being recounted. In West Palm Beach, voters were protesting what they say was a confusing ballot, and they want to vote again. Al Gore's name appeared on the left, Pat Buchanan's slightly above on the right. Some say when they went to select Gore, they mistakenly punched Buchanan.
In that situation, they inaccurately cast a vote for Pat Buchanan. Many, many, many thousands of votes were lost. We need those votes back.
In Broward County, dozens of voters claim they were turned away when their names didn't show up on the voter rolls, despite valid registration cards.
It collapsed. It did not work. It was not foolproof, and their excuse is, too bad, you don't get to vote.
Florida doesn't have a squeaky clean reputation, that is, when it comes to polling problems. In fact, it was just a few years ago that problems with voter fraud cost Miami's mayor his position and sent other public officials to jail. Dan?
Bobby Harley. With so much riding on the vote recount, the people running the recount are in the spotlight and under pressure to get it right. CBS's Jim Axelrod is with some of them in Orlando. Jim?
Dan, behind me are some of the subjects of the world's intensifying focus. These most ordinary of Americans now taking the final steps to determine the next leader of the free world. It's the last place Orange County, Florida election supervisor Bill Cowles wants to be on the day after any election, around a table, recounting votes.
And then suddenly this morning, the local media woke me up at 4:45 saying, we're breaking news that you got to do recounts. And I'm going, what?
But there's never been a day after like this day after. Not here, not anywhere.
We're trying to go through the standard process that we would do if there was a contested city council race. Except this time, it's for the big one.
The President of the United States, they wrote in, God knows best.
The stage is bigger, the spotlight's brighter than anyone here could have bargained for. It's high-stakes poker, and the whole world is watching.
If we don't figure out the count right on this, we're a banana republic.
In this one Florida county tonight, a group of average Americans fixed on getting it right have been reminded of an enduring lesson of life. Be careful what you wish for.
And anybody with an imagination always thinks, gee, it would be terrifically exciting to have one of these cliffhanger elections where it went to the last ballot box on the last day. Let me suggest to you and to your listeners that they don't want to think that ever again.
The workers here still have hours of recounting ahead of them tonight. Fatigued for now, they'll have what they hope is a once-in-a-lifetime memory for later. Dan?
Jim Axelrod, imagine being declared the next president of the United States only to have it pulled away from you in a matter of minutes. It happened to George Bush early this morning. Bill Whitaker is with the Bush campaign in Austin, Texas. Bill?
Dan, the boomerang of a night had the Bush campaign reeling. Now, the reaction today, to hunker down, control the message. And that message, that Bush will win.
After 3 hours sleep, a calmed down but disappointed Governor Bush said he accepted yet clearly didn't like this election limbo.
We are fully prepared to go out and give a speech and thanking my supporters. And he withdrew his earlier comments, and here we sit.
The governor told the vice president on the phone, you do what you have to do. Last night, spokesperson Karen Hughes called Gore's action unbelievable and said Bush was shocked. Today, she was still astounded.
It was certainly a surprise that someone who had called to concede the election was calling back to retract that concession.
Today, the campaign seemed more confused than angry. Bush's parents went home, his brother returned to Florida. Staffers spent the day in meetings and watching the news. This day, they'd planned to start the transition, instead went to tearing down the party that wasn't.
We look forward to getting this matter resolved as quickly as possible so we can get on with the important business of the transition.
Now, that second conversation apparently was heated. At one point, Governor Bush said, let me make sure I understand. You're calling me back to retract your concession? Vice President Gore responded, let me explain something. Your younger brother is not the ultimate authority on this. The conversation apparently ended abruptly. Dan?
Bill Whitaker in Austin. Now over to Nashville, Tennessee, where CBS's John Roberts has the reaction from the Gore campaign. John?
Dan, a defiant Al Gore described today's events as an extraordinary moment in our democracy and said the circumstances demand a full accounting to preserve the fundamental fairness of the democratic process.
We now need to resolve this election in a way that is fair, forthright, and fully consistent with our Constitution and our laws.
Clinging to their narrow lead in the popular vote, the Gore campaign today boldly predicted that when the final vote is in, they will prevail.
We believe when those votes are counted and that process is complete, totally complete, Al Gore will have won the Electoral College in the popular vote and therefore will be the next president.
Gore has dispatched to Florida campaign manager William Daley, former Secretary of State Warren Christopher, and a team of attorneys. They will oversee what at this point is simply a recount.
Last night was an extraordinary night. None of us have ever seen anything quite like it, but I don't have any reason to think we're on the edge of a constitutional crisis, and we don't intend to try to provoke a constitutional crisis.
The vice president said there should be no rush to judgment, but campaign sources have not ruled out a legal challenge if reports of voting irregularities are true.
It is also crucial that the American people have full faith and confidence in the electoral process from which the president derives authority.
The vice president says it's too early to say whether they will challenge the validity of the Florida election, but the Gore campaign is not backing down, and they view this as the first step in what could be a long process. Dan?
John Roberts in Tennessee. Should George Bush be elected president, it would be the first time in almost 50 years that Republicans controlled the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate at the same time. But Republicans just barely kept control of Congress. Take a look. This is the new lineup in the 435-member House as of now. Democrats needed a net gain of 7 seats to retake control. They did not get it. In the Senate, the new lineup is 50-49 Republican. That's with the Senate race in Washington state still undecided. Should Democrat Maria Cantwell be declared the winner over Republican incumbent Slade Gordon, the Senate lineup would be 50-50, but with the Republicans controlling. The lineup will include Hillary Clinton, representing New York, the first lady elected to public office. Still ahead on this special edition of the CBS Evening News, we'll try to answer 2 of the questions on everyone's mind tonight. How did the pollsters, including those at CBS, get the Florida vote so wrong, and how is this all going to end?
Is that kid stacking total in the dairy case?
That he is, sir.
Son, the cereal aisle is over there.
Yeah, but now this is where total deserves to be. It's the only food with 100% of the daily value of calcium. Give me a hand.
100% calcium, huh?
That's like downing 3 glasses of milk at once. Ooh. We gotta talk. You bet. Hey, are you getting enough calcium? Because most adults aren't.
Total, now with 100% calcium.
Attention shoppers, Total is now in the dairy case.
I wish I was home, homeward bound. Home, where my thoughts escape, and home, where my music's playing.
New MSN Explorer. Everything you need to feel at home on the web, all in one place.
If your pencils look like mine did, there's something you can do. Ask your doctor if the Nicotrol inhaler is right for you. Or for more information, call 1-800-INHALER. Call today.
The 50-state quarter program is one of the most unique programs our country has ever seen.
Each quarter is a miniature work of art.
If you want to collect them, the Mint has coin sets and maps to help you get started.
If we haven't gotten to your state yet, you can bet that it's coming.
Time to buy Montero Sport. 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for an entire year on our best-selling Mitsubishis. Hurry, this deal ends soon.
genuine Bear gel caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. Bear, take it for pain, take it for life.
There's an old song that might have been written about this unprecedented and still undecided election. First you say you do, and then you don't. Then you say you will, and then you won't. Understandably, many Americans felt just that way overnight as the news media, including CBS News, with the most accurate record in the business, made calls in an election we now know was too close to call. Florida goes for Al Gore.
We are now able to make a projection in the state of Florida.
This could not be bigger or better news for Al Gore.
About 10 minutes to 8 Eastern Time, Al Gore suddenly seemed to be in the driver's seat. But 2 hours later,
there has been a change.
Stand by, stand by. CNN right now is moving our earlier declaration of Florida.
In Florida, clearly we were wrong to call it as early as we did. I asked CBS News polling director Dr. Kathy Frankovic what happened.
There were some exit polling data that might not have been as good as they could have been. There may have been some precinct data that wasn't as good as it should have been. And then later on, we got some tabulated vote that was a simple human error data entry problem.
But the adventure wasn't over. Bush wins. Around 2:20 a.m., it appeared the Florida tide had turned decisively toward George Bush.
That would be something if the networks managed to blow it twice in one night.
Sure enough, less than an hour later, CBS News has now, for the second time tonight, pulled back Florida.
What the networks give us, the networks taketh away.
Like Truman Dewey in 1948, many in the print media jumped the wrong way too. Noting that perfection is not possible, what can be done to make it better?
Well, I think you learn from your mistakes, and I think that everybody's going to be maybe a little bit more cautious, even when there's a big story in a state that you really want to know the result.
In fairness to Dr. Kathy Frankovic and her highly professional CBS News survey team, we'd like to point out that her final CBS News poll before yesterday's election came closer to the actual popular vote than any other national survey. When all this is finally settled, we will have a president-elect, but whether it's Bush or Gore, he'll have to approach the job a little differently than most new White House tenants. Bob Schieffer, what will the new president have to do and why?
I'll tell you, Dan, even if we wind up with a Republican president and Republicans in control of the House and Senate, the majorities are so small, we're going to see government divided as it has never been divided in modern times. And that reflects just how divided the country is. I talked to a lot of people on Capitol Hill today, and there was general agreement that whoever the president is, he is going to have to reach out to the other party, make some kind of grand gesture, as it were, to make it clear to the country and to the Congress that he understands he doesn't really have a mandate and realizes that he'll need cooperation to get anything done. For example, several people suggested to me today that if Bush becomes president, he may want to put several Democrats in his cabinet. If it's Gore, he may want to put some Republicans in his administration. One Republican said that whatever the next president chooses to do first, whoever he is, it is important that he do it in a bipartisan way and not fail. He says because if the new president gets off to a bad start, he'll simply be chewed up in the process.
Bob, based on your experience, who will be the next president of the United States?
Well, normally, Dan, when you have a recount, it doesn't usually change the outcome. It would often sometimes change the number of votes that are counted, but generally, who you see the first time around as the winner generally winds up as a winner. So I guess I'd have to say that odds are it'll be Bush.
And if it is President George Bush, what is your estimate of will be the first thing he sends to Congress?
Well, he could do something on the order of some kind of, perhaps people suggested to me today, maybe he could offer some kind of a compromise on Social Security that would be acceptable to Democrats, and then couple with that with perhaps a smaller tax cut than he's proposed. But who knows? He has to be very, very careful what that first initiative is. He has to succeed.
Bob Schieffer, and emphasizing that nobody knows yet who the next president in fact will be. On CBS Next, the mixed message from voters as seen in the exit polls.
A significant discovery in eye health may be lutein, a nutrient found in these healthy foods. Now Centrum has the only leading multivitamins with lutein to help maintain your precious sight. Centrum Silver, now more complete with lutein.
Bye-bye.
I should have used Preparation H.
Preparation H Cooling Gel cools on contact for fast relief. Preparation H Cooling Gel cools on contact.
I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. Yeah.
Are you ready to ask your doctor about Viagra? Get ready. Ask your doctor if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
Well, I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me.
We opened an account with Fidelity, what, 30 years ago? And we just kept adding on to it, adding on to it. Fidelity was always there for us. There's a gentleman there, Roger Hobby, who helped us along the way. And
yeah, he was there when we rolled over our pension into an IRA and started trading stocks.
Same folks are helping us draw down income for retirement now.
It was a lot more fun taking it out than putting it in.
But we're very, very happy with where we are.
To invest, call, click, or visit Fidelity.
Isn't stuffing great with Butterball turkey?
Wish we could have it more often.
Now you can. Introducing the holiday stuffing for all 365 days. New genuine Butterball stuffing. Make it any way you like. In a bird, the oven, on the stove, or in the microwave. Add Butterball broth and it's even tastier. Discover savory, slow-cooked holiday flavor tonight.
Like a holiday. Without all the relatives.
And without all the work.
For stuffing, broth, and gravy that make any meal holiday special, the best of all is Butterball.
Want a simple life? Get a simple car. Simply powerful. Simply luxurious. Simply affordable. A compact car that's simply more. The new Nubira from Daewoo.
It now appears more voters turned out for presidential election day 2000 than in 1996 when incumbent Bill Clinton faced Bob Dole. More than 100 million Americans voted yesterday. That's about 50% of the nation's adult voting population. So when the voters did turn out, what message were they trying to send yesterday, and how did it wind up being so split down the middle? CBS's Anthony Mason looked for clues in our extensive exit poll data. Anthony?
Dan, the day after, why is this race still too close to call? Well, in so many key categories, like middle-class voters, independents, and late deciders, it split almost right down the middle. Voters said the economy was the #1 issue, and those who ranked the economy first cut strongly for Gore, 59 to 37%. But Bush did very well on a key economic issue. Among voters who said taxes mattered most, 80% went for the Texas governor. Personal qualities were also important to voters, and honesty topped the list there. A quarter of all voters said honesty was the quality that mattered most, and they went overwhelmingly 80% for George Bush. But experience also mattered to many, and there Gore was the clear winner with 82%. On some questions, voters' opinions seemed to contradict one another yesterday. Example, most voters said the country needs not a fresh start, but to stay on course. That seemed to argue for Gore. But a majority also said the government should do less. That seemed to argue for Bush. While a majority of voters said the country was on the right track, a majority also said we were headed in the wrong moral direction. A third of Republican voters said their vote for Bush was a vote against Bill Clinton. Ultimately, that may have been the core of Gore's dilemma. The vice president had to distance himself from Clinton's scandals without distancing himself from Clinton's economic success. In the end, the electorate drew a line right down the middle. Dan?
Anthony Mason, thanks. This special edition of the CBS Evening News will continue in a moment.
Enterprise? You rented our car from Enterprise?
Yeah.
Why Enterprise?
Because they pick us up. Free.
A free pickup? Wow. They ought to be #1.
They are #1.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
I prefer using natural ingredients. That's why I take Beano. Beano helps prevent gas from problem foods with a natural food enzyme. It's not a drug. So if you prefer a more natural approach, prevent gas with Beano.
Oh, he looks so handsome. Mommy's big man. You're such a big boy. I'm going to give you a big kiss.
$4.92 saved buying Spike a holiday sweater online. $6.42 overpaid on shipping.
Oh, you look so precious.
If your gifts aren't being sent priority mail, you're probably paying too much. So make sure to ask for it.
Fly like an eagle.
Today I made an omelet.
I picked an apple.
I sent the fax.
This is about chemotherapy and living your life. This is about Procrit. If you're a chemotherapy patient and you feel tired and weak, ask your doctor about Procrit.
I played a game.
Procrit is a natural way to regain red blood cells lost during chemotherapy. And more red blood cells can mean more strength.
I caught a fish.
Procrit is safe and effective. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
I went to the store.
Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need. Your strength for living.
Hey, what are you putting in over there?
DirecTV system.
Satellite, huh? I already got like 70 cable channels.
Well, this thing can get over 225 if you want them, all 100% digital quality.
It's on. It's on. Unbelievable. I have a riding mower.
That's great, sir.
Now get free professional installation when you buy a DirecTV system and sign up for Total Choice programming.
Coming up tonight at 6, election night was a surprising night, no doubt. A lot of bizarre incidents happened. We'll have those incidents on tape coming up tonight at 6.
To update our headline story, we still do not know who the next president will be. Texas Governor George Bush said this afternoon he believes he will be certified the winner after results in the Florida vote recount come in. That recount is now underway. Vice President Gore said we still do not know the outcome of yesterday's vote, unquote. With Florida's 25 electoral votes still up in the air, neither Bush nor Gore has the 270 electoral votes needed to win. The Florida vote recount was triggered when Bush's lead there dwindled to approximately 1/30th of 1% out of the 6 million votes cast. Bush's younger brother, Florida Governor Jeb Bush, said today he would not take any part in the Florida vote recount to avoid any possible appearance of conflict of interest. So, in a country in which the government derives its power from the consent of the governed, we are reminded of the great power the people of this country hold in their hands and exercise through their votes. Even a single vote can make a huge difference. In a democracy, voting is not only a right, but a responsibility, one too many Americans elect to ignore. Now, on some stations, we're going to continue our coverage in a moment, and for others, good night for now as you return to regular programming. Dan Rather in New York for the CBS Evening News.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online at keyword CBS News.
Florida recount. Latest details and analysis tomorrow. Experience CBS News.
We still do not know the outcome of yesterday's vote. And I realize that this is an extraordinary moment for our democracy.
The recount is already underway. And I understand the Secretary of State of Florida has announced to the media that will be completed by 5 p.m. tomorrow.
No American will ever be able